Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hoge, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
Hi, I'm AJ Hoge, the author of Effortless English. Learn to speak English like a native. Join my VIP program. It's a really good time to do it. Lots of people joining my VIP program right now. In the beginning of the year, it's quite common. It's a good time to make those New Year's resolutions, a good time to increase your focus, increase your motivation, increase your commitment to really succeed with English, with your English speaking this year. Start strong. Commit. Join my VIP program. Lots and lots of new members joining this month, which is great. Congratulations. I encourage you, commit. Make a real commitment. You will succeed. And you will speak English fluently. You will speak English powerfully. You will speak English effortlessly. You will think in English. When you commit to my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com. Go there to start. effortlessenglishclub.com. Go to effortlessenglishclub.com. Join my VIP program. You want to work on your pronunciation, improve your pronunciation? Get my pronunciation course also. It's a good combination, those two. VIP and the pronunciation course. So welcome to all the new VIP members. Congratulations to you. And of course, all you VIP members who've been members for a long, long time. Continue. Commit. Continue to improve. Yesterday I did the live show for our book club, did the next chapter, part 3, the introduction to the next section. Talking about, well, we talked about a few things. We talked about honesty, we talked about friends and friendship, relationships, we talked about trust. I'll add the recording for that show maybe tonight or maybe tomorrow. Add it to the podcast. But you can watch the video on my YouTube channel, AJ Hoge, AJHOGE. I'll be adding it to the blog soon. If you get my notifications on the blog, you'll get that. You'll get a notification. I'll tell you, new video. Watch now. So you can watch the video if you like. Or if you just like the audio, I'll add the audio recording soon. So we talked about honesty, friendship, trust, and there were a lot of questions, a lot of commentary at the end of the show around this issue of trust. It's a hard word for some people. It's a hard thing for some people. Because, as we were discussing, the truth is that, some people you cannot trust. There are a good number of people out in the world who will lie to you, who will cheat you. There are also just a lot of people who, they're not bad people really, but they're not dependable. What that means is you can't, they're not going to try to hurt you. They're not going to try to cheat you or do something bad to you. But on the other hand, they will not make an effort to help you, right? We have an idiom in English to describe these kinds of people. We call them fair weather friends. Fair weather friends. Fair Here, fair weather means good weather. Fair weather means nice weather. So, nice weather friends, but the correct idiom is fair weather friend or fair weather friends. Well, you can imagine, what's a fair weather friend? It's a person who is your friend only when life is good, only when things are easy. That's a fair weather friend. But what happens when life becomes difficult? What happens when you are feeling bad, having problems in your life? They disappear. Fair weather friends suddenly disappear. They don't want to deal with your problems. They don't want to deal with you when you're not having a good time. Right? They just want everything to be easy. And that's probably the bigger group, I think. Of course, there are just bad people who will cheat and lie and do terrible things. There are evil people in the world who do truly horrible, terrible things. But those are a minority, I believe, in my experience. But a much larger group are people who are just kind of selfish and lazy. So they're not going to make a big effort to hurt you. But on the other hand, can you really trust them in a tough situation? No. They're fair weather friends. You can enjoy their company. You can laugh and have a good time with them. You can do some activities with them. That's okay. But you may find out that they're not really dependable friends, right? You cannot depend on them. And then, of course, there are people in your life that are true friends, that you can depend on, that when you have a problem, when times are tough, you're feeling bad, they will be there for you, they will support you, they will listen to you, they will help you. And of course, you must do the same for them. If you want that to be a real close friendship, of course, you also do the same for them. And those are special friendships. We all understand that. And for some people, maybe it's not, they may not be friends, maybe they're family members. Yeah, often they might be family members, brothers and sisters, parents, children, even uncles, aunts, cousins, grandparents. And those are special people, those are special relationships, and you absolutely must do your best to take care of those relationships. And when you find people like that, do your best to help them and to give to them and support them too. The problem comes is that what do you do about people that when you don't know? I think this is what I saw in the comments in our discussion in yesterday's show. People, people who've been hurt, people who've been cheated, people who've been betrayed, or people who have had several fair weather friends. They thought they were good friends, but then they found out, not really. They disappear when life becomes tougher. And then so there's kind of a debate, and some people saying basically don't trust people, right? That you should kind of have a wall. So when you meet people, don't trust them, or when you're dealing with most people, you should have low trust, don't trust them. And then other people made the point, well, you can't, if you do that, maybe you have an unhappy life. You have to trust people somewhat. And my advice, which I'm going to repeat now and discuss a little more, is kind of a middle way. The first question we have, maybe the toughest, is when you don't know anyone. You don't know them at all, and you first meet people. You first start doing things with them. Maybe it's at work. Maybe it's socially, as friends or something. Maybe you just meet them on the street. So, how much should you trust people like that when you first meet them? And I'd say, I was talking about yesterday that, if we have a rating in numbers, if we imagine 0 means no trust, 0 trust, right? You're super, super, super suspicious of this person. And 10 means total trust. You trust them completely. Someone you're very, very, very close to. You've had a lot of hard times together. You can trust each other totally and completely. A 10. And so I kind of made the general idea is when you first meet people, you should be at about a 5. That's kind of my mindset with new people. What does that mean exactly? I call it guarded trust or careful trust. So on one hand, you trust them, right? You're not paranoid. Paranoid is when you don't trust anybody. You think everybody is a liar and a cheater. That's not healthy. That will make you very unhappy. We need to have some level of basic social trust as we walk around, or else you will go crazy. I mean, imagine if you were super suspicious of every single person. It means every time you went to a restaurant, you'd be worried they were going to poison your food. Every time you met someone, you'd worry they were going to attack you and steal from you, right? You would never leave your house. You just stay inside all the time. But that's not healthy. It's you can't do that. You can't function. None of us can function. We need other people. So there has to be at least a basic level of trust. The opposite extreme is called naive. We use the adjective naive to describe someone who is too trusting. These are people when they meet people, immediately they trust too much. They're like even total strangers. They give them like an 8 or a 9 or a 10 of trust, and they'll share their secrets and their private information, and they just automatically trust them. Everybody, completely. Well, that's crazy. Now this is probably a more common one. Especially, this is maybe the weak point. If you have a good childhood. I had a good childhood. Good parents. I grew up in a very, in a nice neighborhood. Not rich, but I mean just a safe neighborhood. I had friends. Nothing bad happened to me when I was a kid. So basically it was a very high trust situation. I grew up. I didn't have to worry about people stealing from me. I didn't have to worry about people cheating me all the time. Just normal kid stuff, but nothing that very bad. So I'd say I was a little bit sheltered. This means I was protected. And you know what? For kids, being protected, that's a nice thing. That's what all parents want to do. That they want to protect their kids. They don't want their kids to be harmed. So it's a good thing. It's a positive thing, and I'm very happy that I had that very nice childhood. However, the one weak point of a childhood like that is that you can become a little naive. When you are a young adult, when you're a teenager, when you're in your early life and you're just becoming independent, you can become a bit naive because, see, you've grown up. You were raised in your family in such a safe environment, such a high trust environment. And you have no experience of anything else. So it can be easy to be too trusting, right? To be too naive. And that can be a little dangerous when you go out into the world where most people maybe are not as trustworthy, where there are bad people, where there are people who will cheat you and lie to you and even do other bad stuff to you. And so it can be a bit hard for people like that, people like me, in their young adulthood, because it can be a bit of a shock when you go out into the real world and you realize, whoa, everybody's not nice. I can't trust everybody. It's a normal thing. It happens. If you had a good childhood, if you had a high trust environment, it's kind of normal to have that shock. The problem is that sometimes people who get that shock, then they react too strongly the other direction. We talked about this, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I think it was Vanya was talking about this. A girl who, she was very naive, very trusting, probably had a great, grew up in a very high trust, protected family. And then she had a boyfriend, and the boyfriend cheated on her with her friend. And then the shock of that, right? The shock of realizing, oh my God, everybody's not nice. I can't trust everybody. Because of that shock, she reacted and she went too far the other way. She became too paranoid, right? She became too untrusting because it was very painful. That's a painful shock when you grow up and have a nice childhood and everything's so wonderful. And then you get that first shock where somebody's mean to you, when someone cheats you, lies to you, betrays you. That shock is so painful emotionally that many times people react and they go too far the other direction. They say, oh my God, I don't want to feel this again. And then they become paranoid. They become too suspicious. And they don't trust anyone. But they're both extremes are unhealthy. Both extremes will make you unhappy and will cause you problems. So I've learned through various experiences that, that 5, I call it guarded trust. So when I first meet somebody, especially let's say if I'm traveling, I gave this example yesterday. Someone starts talking to me. I'm not rude. I'm not paranoid. I don't immediately think, if they're acting normally, right? They're not acting dangerous. I'm not worried they're going to attack me. I'm not worried they're going to do something terrible to me. But on the other hand, I'm not just completely open and trusting. I'm polite. I'm civilized to them. I might talk with them a little bit. That's the trust part. But on the other hand, I'm guarded. I'm careful. This means I'm watching them carefully. I'm watching them carefully to decide if I will increase my trust or decrease my trust with them. And I can do this in just a few seconds or a few minutes sometimes. I gave the example yesterday. If I'm on the street in a city and some stranger walks up to me and starts talking to me, asking me questions, I'm a little suspicious. That's not a normal behavior. So I'm not paranoid. I don't run. Okay. I don't scream at them. Yeah, get away from me. Right? That's paranoia. But I'm careful. In that situation, I probably will drop down to a 4 or a 3 in trust. Because it's not normal for someone to just walk up and start talking to you that you've never met before. So I watch them. I observe how they're dressed. I watch their eyes. I watch their hands. I notice, what kind of questions are they asking me? Are they too personal? Are they trying to get information about me? I watch their body language. Are they looking around? Are they acting a little nervous? Are they talking really fast, like they're trying to sell me something or persuade me? There's lots of little things you learn to watch. And then based on this, I'll get an idea of, okay, this person's trying to cheat me. And then I will ask them to go away, or I'll just ignore them and I will walk away. Or maybe I realize, okay, this is just a really friendly person, or this is innocent. They just want to practice English, or they just need directions somewhere, or something like that. And then I'll relax a little more. So that guarded trust, you have enough trust so you function. You're not scared. You're not paranoid. But on the other hand, you're not naive. You're still careful. And mostly what you're doing is you're watching, you're observing, and you're noticing. You're aware. In self-defense, they talk about this. If you take a self-defense class, they often will have a color code. So they'll have white means, white's level white means you're completely, totally relaxed. That's like you're at home. You're at home, the doors are locked, you're with your family. So you're not careful at all. You can just completely relax. You don't have to be careful about anything. The next level would be something like yellow, and this is what kind of like the normal, the advice they give you. This is your normal level of alertness, awareness, carefulness. When you're out in the regular world, walking around, you're mostly relaxed. Okay, you're not constantly ready to fight, but you don't stare at your cell phone. You're not looking down at the ground. You're just kind of noticing. You're observing. You're aware. Awareness. This is important. You're looking around. You're noticing people, so that if there is somebody a little dangerous or suspicious or weird or strange, you'll see them. Then there's orange. The next level will be orange, which is a higher level of carefulness and awareness. This is where, the situation I described, let's say someone who seems a little strange, you're walking on the street and they come up to you and they start talking to you. And, there's something about them that doesn't seem right. They're acting a little weird. Well, now you would be at orange level of carefulness. And in self-defense, what you do, you'd keep your hands high, right? This means so you can protect yourself quickly if they suddenly attack you. You step back so you have more space between you and them. Don't let them get too close to you. So you're ready. So if they do something, you're ready. You don't attack them. You don't yell at them yet because it's not that level yet. Or they're still just talking to you. So you don't want to overreact, but you want to be careful and ready. And then finally, they'll have level red, and that's when if they attack you or they start to yell at you or they do something dangerous, then you have to fight. It's the same kind of idea. And this basic idea of different levels of trust and awareness, it also works for longer term relationships. These examples, I'm telling you something that happens quickly, but it also is true for, a friend. You make a new friend. It could also be a coworker, but let's just say a friend. You make a new friend. You go, you hang out with them a few times. You like them. They seem cool. Great. But don't immediately assume, don't immediately think, oh, this is such a great friend. Even if they, in the beginning, a lot of times, people seem super, super, super friendly. Now, especially Americans, this causes problems for some foreigners when they come to the United States from certain countries. Because Americans often, in the beginning, when you first meet them, they seem so enthusiastic and friendly. But this is kind of part of American culture. It's expected. Okay, this is just a normal level of friendliness in America. Oh, hey, oh, wow, so great to meet you. Hey, let's hang out. Oh, fantastic. Oh, my God, it was so much fun. It's this, I've talked about it before, this American exaggeration. It's part of the culture. Unfortunately, some people come from countries where that's not true, where you don't do that, and so they just think, "My God, this person's like my great friend now. I just met them a couple times, and now we're best friends." No, you're not. You're not. Okay, that's just kind of in America, that's a normal level of exaggeration and sort of exaggerated friendliness and optimism and enthusiasm. It's part of our culture. It does not mean you should trust them at a level 10 now. It does not mean you're super close friends. Oh, I've got a helicopter over me now. 1 second. It's flying over me. All right. So for a longer term friendship, you just meet somebody, stay at a 5. It takes a long time to get a really great friend that you have a lot of trust. And you need to experience some tough times and challenges and problems and have lots of different experiences together before you really reach that deeper level. I mean, this is true for dating, this is true for friendship. So even if someone is super friendly, even if you have, you agree on everything and you really enjoy hanging out and they're really fun to be with, all those things are fine. Don't be paranoid, right? But still, kind of in your mind, you're thinking, well, it's kind of a level 5 of trust. I like them, but I don't know yet if they're fair weather friends or not, because hasn't been enough time. Haven't had enough experiences yet. You gotta wait and see. Continue to hang out with them. Continue to have fun with them. Month by month. And then, eventually you get to know them better by observing them, by having those experiences. And then you'll know. And then you adjust. So maybe you have a problem. And then you see, how do they react? Do they just become impatient? They don't want to hear it. They're not very, very helpful. Or is it the opposite? And then you adjust and they become better friends or worse friends. It's just a process. There's no reason to get upset about it. If you find they're not close friends, well, it's okay. That's really normal because in life, you're if you're lucky, you only have a few truly good, close friends that you can really, really trust. And hopefully some family members too. So it's okay. It's all right. It's okay to have a lot of what I call acquaintances, or just, fun friends. That you hang out with them, you have a good time, but, they're not super close. You know that if you have a really tough problem, they're not going to help you. They're not going to be there. So don't expect it. That's all. You don't need to get angry about it. Just kind of put them in a different category. Okay, these are my, distant friends. And then I have my other friends who are my truly close friends, my best friends. And then, of course, I have my close family. So you have those different levels, and then there's no reason to get upset about it. And the same is true, by the way, if you get cheated. If you find out, oh, this person's not good at all, they're a liar. I've had this happen a few times in my life. I can I'm thinking right now of a person I thought who was a friend, but then over time I started to realize, I can't trust this person so much. Oh, this person's super, super selfish. Can't rely on this person at all. And so, my level of trust in them went down, 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 down. I'm still friendly to them, but I don't trust them at all for anything important. But I don't hate them. All right. Well, you'll hear in the recording. You can listen to that in the show. We discussed it even more. This is one reason, people ask me about the VIP program, or my Power English course, or pronunciation course, or Effortless English in general. Occasionally someone will ask me, oh, how can I trust you? How do I know that this is true? Well, it's the same idea. You're listening to me. You're connecting with me. If you hear me one time in a podcast, you don't know. You should probably start at about a 5 with me or anyone else. So then what do? We'll keep listening to the podcast. And, get my book, and then you get more information. And then, over time you can kind of see. But the best way is to just try what I'm saying. The best way is just to try it yourself, and then you see, right? Then you find out from experience. Well, does this work or does it not work? Does Effortless English work? And it will get me good results or not. Okay? That's why I don't like arguing about it with people. I won't argue about it. Occasionally some people, especially other teachers, will try to argue about it. Well, this is not right, or that's not right, or you need to memorize grammar rules, or, I saw this one research study said something, and and they want to get into a big argument about it. But it's pointless. It's pointless to argue about it, about who can you trust, or what works or not. Just find out yourself. Instead of trying to have this big argument and think about it, just do it. You've already tried the old methods in school for many years. You've had that experience, so you know the result. So with Effortless English, you don't have to believe me. Just try it. Try it for 6 months. See what happens. See if you improve. See how much you improve in 6 months. Then compare that to the old way. 6 months with the old way. Which one was faster? Which one was more enjoyable? Which one got you better results? Then you know. You don't really need trust. You just find out yourself. You can trust the results, the real world results. This is also, by the way, the reason often when people ask me this kind of question on Twitter or Gab, I often will let other members answer instead of, sometimes I ignore those questions or I just retweet it. I don't reply directly. I'm not trying to be rude to you. It's the opposite. I let other VIP members and other Effortless English members reply to you because you can trust them more because they did it. They did it. They were in your same position. I'm a native speaker. It's easy for me to say that, oh yeah, you can do it. I'm the coach, the teacher, so it's easy for me to say that. That's why I prefer and I appreciate when the other members, they'll say, yes, you can do it. Yes, this works. You can trust them because they got the results. They were in your same position, having your same problems. And then they joined the VIP program, or maybe they joined Power English or another course. They followed the system, and they now speak fluently. And they're continuing to improve. What's great about it is when you reach that level, once you get the basic fluency, you don't want to stop. And then you want higher level fluency. Then you want to have great pronunciation. Then you want to speak like a native speaker. You just keep going higher, 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 which is great. Your goals will increase. Your goals will get higher and higher, which is fantastic. But that's great. You can trust them because they were in your same position. And they are getting those results. All right, coming back to this idea of goals and results. Let's talk about the difference in between a system and what I call a haphazard approach. Goals are not enough. We discussed this earlier. Just goals are not enough. You have to have a process or a system to achieve the goals, a way, right? A path. And in many ways, the path becomes more important than the goal. You know, like people say, the journey's more important than the destination. That's an idiom. See, a haphazard means unorganized, not organized, not consistent. So a lot of people will they do a good job of making goals. They have a great dream, they make very specific goals, and then they start working on those goals. But they don't have a clear, organized daily system to follow. You know, one day they make a huge effort, and then the next day they're kind of tired and less of an effort. And then the next day they try something else. Then maybe after a month they get bored with one method, and then they'll change to a different method. You know, people do this with English, so they'll have this great goal to speak fluently and effortlessly. That's great. And then they'll go and they'll get some lessons from somewhere, and they'll do them for a month, and then I don't know if I'm improving fast enough, and then they jump to something else. They'll jump to a different system. And then they'll do that for a while, and then they jump to another system, and then they jump to another system. They don't stick with one clear system. It's a haphazard approach, right? Just jumping all around. And they don't get great results with that. You know, it's kind of like they move forward, then they go back. They move forward, then they go back. They move forward, and they go back. They never seem to make a great improvement and progress. A system is the opposite. A system is basically habits, organized habits, behaviors that you do every day that will lead you to your goal. That's why I call it a path. Right? It's a clear path, a training system. It's consistent. And one of the great things about a system is that it requires less energy. When you have a system, a very clear, very organized path, system to follow every day, it requires less energy. You need less energy to do it because you know exactly what you're going to do every single day. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to wake up in the morning and, okay, what am I going to do to, improve? What am I going to do today to get closer to my goal? You don't think about it. You have a system. You know exactly what you're going to do. You need no energy to figure it out day by day. The other thing you don't need is you don't need so much motivation because a system becomes kind of an automatic habit. You just do it. You don't really need high motivation to do it. It just becomes a very simple, clear habit. Every single day becomes part of your life. So you don't need to get super motivated about it every day. The advantage of this is that with systems like this, that you make that consistent improvement. You keep going, you keep going, you keep going. If you don't have a system, the problem is you might improve for a while. Your motivation's really high, your energy's really high. You'll do well. But what happens in life, eventually, you get distracted. You have other problems. You get busy. Your energy drops. Your motivation drops for some reason. And then, if you don't have a system, what happens then? Then you'll stop taking action. You'll stop making progress. You'll stop improving. And often people will quit for a while. They lose their progress. And then it's just constantly like this. And then they get their motivation back and they'll make another big effort for a little bit. And then they stop. And it's just kind of starting, stopping. That's no good. Let me give you an example of this, a really easy example. Marathon training. Training to run a marathon. So using the American system, a marathon is about 26 miles, just a little over 26 miles. So true story, I was training for a marathon many years ago, and I had another friend who wanted to run a marathon. Now, I already had done one marathon, so I was training for my second marathon, so I knew how to do it. And I had a system, which I got from a book. I got from a running book. The book by Jeff Galloway. I can't remember the name of the book. He's a famous runner in America. Anyway, Jeff Galloway had a great book, and he had a very exact training system. A very simple, clear, organized system to train for a marathon. And it was just on a chart on one page. And so all you have to do is follow it, every single day. You knew exactly what to do. On this day, I run 3 miles. Tomorrow, I run 3 miles. Next day, I rest. Next day, 3 miles. Right? It was very, very simple. Pretty easy, actually. Basically, it was running during the week. You would run 3 miles a day. Not every day. There was a rest day in there. And then on the weekend, there would be a long run. And the long run increased by 1 mile every week. I've discussed this before, giving advice about running. But that's it. Very, very, very clear. And the other nice thing about it, very safe. Meaning that it was Jeff Galloway's system of training. It's very gradual. Very gradual. You don't suddenly go run a huge amount of miles and then possibly get injured. That's how people get injured, because they try to do too much. They're really motivated and excited, and they just go out and I'm gonna go run a lot. And they don't have a system to slowly, very gradually increase the distance. But your body needs that gradual increase. It takes time for your body to adapt, right? Your heart, your lungs, your blood vessels, muscles, the joints like your knees, they all need time to get used to the running and the distance. So you want to increase your distance very little bit, week by week, gradually, so your body has time to adapt and get stronger. So it's a great system. And I followed the system, and really it does not take a lot of motivation. Once you get started, it just becomes a habit. You just look at the chart and you're like, okay, today I'm running this amount, and then you just go do it. There's no need to think about it a lot, really. It's very automatic. It becomes a habit very quickly. There's really only one difficult run each week. It's the long run. All the other runs are pretty easy. They're easy once you get started. Your body adapts to the short runs very quickly. So there's the one long run, but even that one increases just by a little bit. So it's a little difficult each weekend to do your long run, but not that difficult. And you know exactly how much you're going to do. It's very effective, does not require a huge amount of motivation. You just follow the system, easy. And that's what I did. And, the 2 marathon races I did, I followed that system. And I'd done another marathon a couple years ago. Not a race, just did one myself. But still, I followed the same system. I still follow that system, basically. I might adapt it a little bit, but I basically just follow the system. Anytime I want to start running again and do longer runs, I start at the system. I'll start at the beginning of it, and then I just gradually increase and follow it, and it works every time. On the other hand, I had another friend, and he wanted to also run a marathon, and he asked me for advice. AJ, what should I do? And I said, oh yeah, check out this system by this guy, Jeff Galloway, get his book. But he didn't do it. See, this friend of mine is kind of, I don't know how to describe it. I would say impulsive is the word in English, impulsive. Impulsive means kind of spontaneous. It means you don't really think about stuff, you just suddenly do things very quickly, following your emotions. And so he decided that he was already in good shape, right? That he already had good fitness level from doing other exercise, not running, but from other things. And he decided, I don't need to follow this system. I can do it. I'm just going to do my own thing. And so what did he do? He would go out. He'd get up in the morning one day and he'd just put on his shoes and go run. No, he had no plan, right? He didn't, today I will run 30 minutes. No, he wasn't following a system. He just would go run, and he would just run until he got tired. He also had no system about how fast to run. This is the other part of Jeff Galloway's system, is that he tells you exactly how fast to run each time. And, basically it's slowly. In Jeff Galloway's system, you always run slowly. And you take walking breaks too. Well, my friend, he didn't do that. He just would get up each day and go run, and he would run hard and kind of fast, as fast as he could. And he would run until he got really tired. And then he would do it the next day, and then he'd do it the next day, and then he'd do it the next day. No plan, no system. And then he thought, I'm just going to keep doing this, and I'm going to try to push myself to go farther and farther. Well, guess what? This worked for a couple of weeks. It worked a couple of weeks because his motivation was really high. He was just starting it. His energy was high, and he did have good fitness from playing other sports. But it was a haphazard approach, right? There was no system. He's just day by day doing whatever. In fact, on one hand, the first couple of weeks, he was doing much more than I was. Right? He was his motivation was high, his energy was high, and he was going out. He was running harder. He was running faster. He was running longer than I was in the beginning. Why? Well, because I was following the system, and the system I was following, the beginning, the runs are very short, very slow, and very easy. Because it's a planned system. You start slow and easy, and then you very gradually, it builds. But my friend, no, he was just going out, run. Well, surprise, surprise, what happened? After a few weeks, his knee started to bother him. One of his knees started to hurt. He started getting knee pain. And he called me up and he said, I'm getting this knee pain. What should I do? Do you think it's my shoes? This, that? And I asked him what he was doing, and I realized immediately, I'm like, no, you need to slow down. Stop running so fast. You're running too far. You're running too fast now. Follow the system, build gradually. You'll be fine. You won't have knee pain. He did not listen to me. He continued to just train how he felt each day. So a couple more weeks went by. Guess what? His knee pain got worse and worse and worse. And finally he had to stop. He had to stop training. He quit. He never finished a marathon. He never did it. In fact, he made the excuse. He said, I don't like running. Running's not good for your knees. Running is bad for your knees. Running is bad for your joints. A lot of people say this because a lot of people who try to run, they don't have a system. So a lot of people do what my friend did, and they get knee pain. And then they blame running. It's running. Running causes knee pain. Well, no. Running too much causes knee pain. But if you follow a very gradual, organized system, your knees will get stronger and adapt, and you'll be fine. And so I just continued following my system very, very gradually, and I did my next marathon. This is the power of a clear, organized, good system. Of course, there are bad systems, but a good system it's a path. And once you have the system, you just follow it. You don't have to think about it very much. You don't need a lot of energy. You don't need a lot of motivation. You just follow it day by day by day, and you improve step by step by step. It's just like if you're, walking on a path, you don't really need to think much, right? If you know there's a road, a path, and you're going to the next town, well, if you know the path, you just get on the path and you walk. You don't need to think about it. You don't need a map. You don't need a compass. You don't need to worry about which direction you're going. You know already, this path goes to the next town. So you can just start walking and just relax and just walk step by step. On the other hand, what if you try to walk through the wilderness? There's no path, no trail, no road, and you're trying to go to another point. Well, this then becomes very difficult, right? Then you need a map, maybe a compass. You constantly have to worry about where you are. Are you making progress? Are you getting lost? Are you going the wrong direction? It becomes much more difficult. Same idea. So systems, good systems, are so important and will help you so much as you move towards your goals. They make it much easier. Give you another example. Parenting. When you're a parent, you have to deal with children, and children sometimes are naughty. Right? They test you. They want things that are not good for them. They want to eat stuff that's not healthy. They want to do things that are dangerous. They can sometimes be rude. They do all kinds of things that are not good. Not good for them, not good for you and the family. Unfortunately, what I see around me a lot, in my own family, in America, even here in Japan, is that most parents now do not have a system. And they especially don't have a system for discipline. A system. A planned, organized system for behavior with their children. Especially bad behavior. They haven't thought about it deeply. They haven't gotten an organized way to deal with it. They just react. So what I've seen is most parents now just react. So the kid does something bad, and then the parent just reacts immediately in the moment. Usually by getting upset, or sometimes by just, ignoring it. And then, some time goes, and then the kid does something else bad. And then again, the parent just reacts, and there's no system. So if the parent is tired, they might react by doing nothing, right? I can't deal with this right now. They just say stop doing that, but they don't really do anything. They're too tired to deal with it. Other times, the parent is, maybe irritated in a bad mood, and so they react with a lot of anger. I told you not to do that, and they really react with a lot of anger. And then other times, maybe the parent is feeling really good, and so they'll react patiently. But it just goes, the reaction's different every time. There's no system. There's no organized plan or system for discipline. So what happens? Well, what happens is the kids become monsters. Because there's no consistent discipline, there's no consistent system, so the kids' behavior really does not get better. The other thing that happens is that parents become exhausted. They become so tired of constantly dealing with the bad behavior of the children. So frustrated. It's kind of like my friend with the running training. It's the same idea. On the other hand, if you have a disciplined system, an organized system, so you know exactly how you are going to behave, what you're going to do, every single time your child does something bad, it's so much easier. It's easier for you and it's easier for the child. It's easier for you because you don't have to think about it. It doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter if you're in a bad mood. It doesn't matter if you're in a good mood. It doesn't matter because you're going to do exactly the same thing every time. Your mood doesn't matter. Your energy doesn't matter. Your motivation doesn't matter. It's a system. So just like me with running, you're just going to follow the system. So the kid does something bad. Let's say they throw something on the ground and break it. They're being bad. They do it on purpose. You don't have to think about how you're going to react. You already know. You have an exact system. Or say it may something less bad. Let's just say they say something rude to you, right? You ask them to do something and they say, "No, I'm not doing it." Okay, you don't have to react. It doesn't matter your feelings. This is the problem. Too many parents just react from it. Maybe they get angry. Maybe they get tired. But if you have a system, you will behave exactly the same way every time. So it requires very little energy from you. The other nice part about it is that your child realizes very quickly, it's consistent. If I do something bad, I know what's going to happen because the same thing happens every single time. And basically, the kid realizes, I will lose. If I behave badly, I am always going to lose. Something I don't like is going to happen every time. And they will change their behavior. This is exactly the same, by the way, with teachers who teach children. Even adults, but especially children. So when I was teaching children, I had a system in my classroom. And I figured it out. In the beginning, I was just reacting. I was exhausted. And also, I was not a nice guy because I was getting really angry and upset with the kids. And then I developed a system. So I knew exactly what to do. And it was a step by step. If they said something rude or bad or something like that, I have a whole system step 1, I look them directly in the eyes. Step 2, I don't talk. I'm silent. The opposite of what most parents do. Step 3, I walk towards them very slowly, keeping eye contact, and I walk closer and closer and closer and closer. They feel it, okay? I don't say anything. I'm not yelling. I'm just walking, and they kind of feel like, uh-oh, he's coming. He's walking towards me. And, of course, when I'm looking at them, I'm not smiling. I'm not looking angry. I just have a blank face, like no emotion. But it's serious. I have a serious face, but not angry, not excited, and definitely not smiling. I get closer and closer and closer. And then when I get right next to them, I look at them, and in a deep voice, strong voice, I tell them what to do. So if they threw something in the ground, I say, pick that up and clean up now. And that's all I say. And then what if they complain? I said, nah, nah. I don't react. I don't say anything. I just keep looking at them, standing with my blank face, looking at them. And I'll let them talk. They can say anything they want. They can talk and they talk and they talk and they talk and they talk. And then I just keep looking at them. And then if I need to, I'll repeat it. Clean that up now. And you know what? They do it. They do it. If they don't do it, then I have a next step for the system. Right? I know exactly what I'm going to do next. If they refuse to do it, well, then I've got to do something else. With a small kid, I might have to just pick them up and put them somewhere and say, sit here. You're not doing anything until you clean that up. But honestly, you almost never need to do that. Maybe a little in the beginning. But the important point, you can change that if you want to. The important point, though, is that I have a system step by step by step by step. First I do this, then 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 this, until, the end. And my system, the end is always they do what I tell them to do. If they threw something on the ground, they are always going to pick it up. I am not going to pick it up and clean it for them. They're going to do it. And because the system is so consistent, the same thing happens every time. Do you understand what's going to happen now? Okay, in the beginning, when it's totally new, you first doing it, maybe you have to go through the whole system and you have to punish them somehow. Like maybe you have to put them in the corner and they just sit there for a while. Or maybe you take away, their toys or whatever it is you decide to do. But what eventually happens is, quite quickly in fact, they learn that because it's consistent, it's the same system every time. Soon they realize that they know what's going to happen. They learn the system too. So all you need to do is look at them and take one step towards them. Just start moving slowly towards them. And they already know everything that's going to happen next. They already know there's no point to argue because you're just going to stand there. They already know there's no point saying no because you're going to punish them or do something until they do what you say. And so what happens is when you have a clear, calm system like that and you just follow it every time, eventually, and fairly quickly, maybe just a few weeks, you will just need to just stop talking, look at them with a flat, blank face, no smile, and take one step towards them. And often they'll say, okay, I'm sorry, and then they'll go clean it up, or they'll do whatever. And you said nothing. Or at the worst, maybe you have to look at them, take a step, and tell them one time, clean that up now. And then it's over. It's over. You don't have to have a lot of energy. Your mood, it doesn't matter, because now you have this clear system. It's organized. It's the same every time. It's so much better for you. It's so much better for your kids. Instead of just reacting with emotions all the time. So this is why systems, good, organized systems, effective systems are so, so important. That's why I call it the Effortless English system. It's why my lessons all follow a system. That's why the VIP program is a system. You don't have to think about it. You join the VIP program, you download the audios and the text. You listen each day. That's it. That's it. You don't think about it. You don't have to think about test scores. You don't need to think about memorizing anything. You don't have to, what should I do today? You already know what you're going to do today. The exact same thing. Listen for 2 hours a day. That's the system. You might adapt the system. Maybe you're busy. You can only listen 1 hour a day. Okay. You can adapt it a little bit. Or you're really motivated, you got a lot of time, you're going to do 3 hours a day or 4 hours a day. You're going to add in some reading. You're going to add in the podcast. You're going to add an audiobook. That's okay. You can change the system a little bit, but you keep the basic system. So now every day, you don't need a lot of motivation. You don't need to think, what should I do today for my English? No, you already know what to do. You just follow the system. Get your phone, get your headphones, turn on the lesson. That's it. Tomorrow you'll do the same thing. The next day, the same thing. After 15 days, you'll get new lessons. You download them, then you do the same thing again. You just follow along, just like my marathon training. Day by day, week by week, month by month. Getting better and better and better. You don't have to think about it. You don't need a lot of energy. You don't need high motivation. That's the power of a system. For you parents, I highly encourage you to think about this yourself for discipline and behavior. Not only discipline and behavior, you can also have systems for other things in your family that are just positive. But especially for the discipline part, for the bad behavior, all kids do this. It's part of life. It's okay. So think about what kind of system do you want so that you have step by step by step by step. You can test it out with your kids. You can make little changes if you need to. If something's not working, you can change it to something else a little bit. But eventually, you need to have a clear, organized system. And then every time your kids do some bad behavior, you just follow your system. You don't have to think about it. It becomes a super automatic habit. It's the same every time. I highly recommend this. You will have so much more energy as a parent when you have a system like this. You will enjoy your children so much more when you have a system like this. And your children's behavior will become much, much, much better when you have a nice, calm, clear system. So it works for your English speaking, it works for parenting, it works for leadership, it works for teaching, it works for fitness. Systems. All right. Join my VIP program, my VIP system. Commit at effortlessenglishclub.com. Go now to effortlessenglishclub.com. effortlessenglishclub.com.